Ladies and gentlemen, let us now welcome our honorable speakers for today. A very good morning to all of you. Welcome to No Money No Talk, the webinar on financial literacy. I am Vicky, the MC for this session. To begin the event, we are honored to have Mr. Ian Wong with us today as the speaker for the first session of this webinar on financial literacy. Mr. Ian Wong is a licensed financial planner, one of only about 1,000 professionals nationwide licensed by the Securities Commission of Malaysia to provide comprehensive financial planning and advice to Malaysians. He graduated from the London School of Economics, LSE, with a degree in actuarial science and holds the full Certified Financial Planner, CFP qualification. He is currently the youngest partner at IPP Financial Planning Group, Malaysia. Mr. Ian has conducted numerous financial literacy workshops for organizations such as the Malaysian Medical Association, Lean In Malaysia, Financial Literacy for Youth, AYTP alumni, as well as various universities. He has also contributed to media outlets such as The Star, Focus Malaysia, The Age, and NTV7. Without further ado, let's welcome Mr. Ian Wong to present his talk.
Morning, guys. Hi, Vicky. Do I sound all right on the line?
Yes, Mr. Ian, we can hear you.
All right, great. Okay, nice to see everybody here. Hope everybody's having a nice long weekend. And for any of you who are celebrating Hari Raya, Selamat Hari Raya to you guys. Hope you have enjoyed the festivities as much as this MCO can allow us to enjoy. All right. Okay, let's get started, shall we? Let me just pop on the slides. Okay. Nice. There we go. All right, great. Okay, so I know it's very early in the morning on a Saturday, and if like a lot of you students, if I was in university, I probably would still be sleeping. So thank you all for joining us today. Let's start a little bit by seeing who's awake. See if there's anybody awake right now in our crowd over here. And the question I want to ask basically is, let's start with a little bit of interactive. Yeah, what is our money for? So I'm looking at the chat. I'm not sure if chat is allowed to be for everybody. Vicky, you can confirm whether that's yes or no. But I'd just like to get some answers on what do you guys think our money is for. If I could get one or two responses from those of you who are here. What do you think our money is for? Why are we earning money? Or why is it that you are here today in this session to try and improve your money? What is it for? Okay, Vicky says buy food. Well, it's good. I mean, money is for subsistence, for us to survive. Yes. What else? Okay, Jaden says the title of our talk today: No Money, No Life. No money, no talk. Sorry, that one, right? Okay. What else? Why are we earning money? Why is the financial sphere, or why are people so concerned with money? Oh, okay. I like Han's response. Paying taxes. Okay. Good quality of life, says Sabrina. I like that. Wayan is improve our lifestyle, financial freedom. Derek likes power. Money is to gain money, says Suyong. Okay, spend happiness, helping others. Okay, right. So from some of the answers that we see here today that I've got, I mean, it is along the right trend, right? Right mindset. Our money, at the end of the day, is just a vehicle, right? It's just a medium. It's just something that enables us to get what we want, be it power, right? Be it lifestyle, a better lifestyle, good quality of life. This is majority of the things that you would want. A lot of you here probably be students, okay, or early in your career, and you're eager to earn money, eager to gain all that financial power, financial muscle that you have to empower your lives, to give yourself better things, to give your family better things. So Why then do you guys think that money causes so many issues, right? If for a lot of people, and I've met over my many years now in financial, helping clients with financial planning, money is a cause for a lot of concern. Money causes a lot of stress. Money causes a lot of anxiety with a lot of people. Huh? So you've all heard the cliche saying that, oh, I'm afraid to look at my bank account. Right? Why do people have these feelings? Why does this happen? Okay. Let's see what some of you think. Why is it that money then causes so much stress when all it is just a medium to get what we want? Shouldn't it then make us feel good? Shouldn't we look at money more positively? Like, oh yeah, this can get me some stuff. Why is it cause so much stress? Let's see. Okay, as you guys are typing out, adding on to this conversation, I think some of the statistics in Malaysia currently are, I believe, the one of the top 3 reasons for divorce in Malaysia actually is financial or money issues. Either people either the couple doesn't agree, or there's insufficient, or one side is not pulling their weight. Money causes so many problems, right? When it shouldn't really do that, because all it is a way to get what we want, right? Okay. RSS daily needs money to pay. Okay, so I'm guessing from that, it's people feel they don't have enough, right? And it is true. It is true. Our incomes in Malaysia are quite suppressed. We are the children of a lot of Gen X, late Gen X, or early Gen X, baby boomer level. And yeah, there are a lot of us around. The job markets aren't as good. Okay, so yes, right, money should not be the case, but it is a cause of a lot of issues. And I can see, actually, it's from my experience in dealing with my clients so far, that those who have better money management overall have better quality of life. And it doesn't mean that somebody needs to earn 10,000, 20,000 a month for them to have good money management. I know people with earn 6,000 ringgit a month, very well managed, got a family, they're quite happy. And I also know people who earn 10,000 ringgit a month, spend 15,000 ringgit a month, and are very unhappy. Okay, so of course, if you earn only very little, it makes things harder. But the most important thing, therefore, is the management of the money, because it's like our resource, right? It's like our resource. And so today, hopefully, I can shed some light on how you can sort of the basic things that you would need to do in terms of personal financial literacy. So over the next maybe 15 minutes or so, they're coming up to about 1 hour for that, I will try and give you a little bit of a checklist on the basic things that you need to take note of. And of course, personal finance is a very, very big topic. We can talk about this for hours, really. We can't condense it into an hour, but of course, if there's anything that I have not covered at the end during our Q&A, feel free to ask some questions, and then we'll see how many we can get through. Yeah. All right. Okay. So now, every time we start, I know a lot of people here are looking for investment advice and investment sort of tips and what else we can do. And so let's start with that. Yeah. Okay. So stocks, shares, and equity. I'm sure some of you may have already started to these things. What do I think about this? I think, yeah, great. Keep it up. All right. What about mutual funds? Maybe unit trusts. Some of you may have experienced some of this before. I would say, yeah, pretty good idea. Keep it up as well. Okay. Property. So our Asian community or Asian culture is such that we heavily sort of value a property, so much so that the property market is actually a bit overinflated, and the prices are not affordable. I mean, you guys just think about trying to buy a house now. Try and buy a house within 3 years of working. Unless you're going really, really far outskirts, it can be tough. So property is something that, yes, it has actually a lot of emotional value, but I would say depends. Okay. Next, foreign exchange, very popular among students, very popular among people early in their career. My answer to this is no, 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 and no. Okay, and I'll explain all this later. Don't worry. Okay. Hottest topic in the market currently, cryptocurrency. What do you guys think? Huh? Okay. Answer for me will be no. Okay. I'll explain this as well later on. Commodities, things like CPO, crude palm oil. I mean, gold also technically is a commodity. other things like silver and almost more of the common commodities people like to do? The answer generally is also no. What about endowments, saving plans, right? Some of these are through insurance companies. Okay, I see some comments in the chat following Reddit and the US market in all our exciting investments. Okay, but I'll get to this later. Okay, all right, endowments and saving plans, right? It's these things are generally all right, but you have to be very, very careful because most of them are through insurance companies. Insurance companies in general are not designed to make you money. They're designed to make money from you. So I would say it depends, right? There are some which are good. The majority are not. And of course, fixed deposit for some of you here may have also done generally okay. But currently in our low interest rate environment, I think there's really not much point to doing that. Okay. Now we've talked about investments already. Okay. We covered a little bit of the investments. So hopefully you've got some of your answers already. Explanations to come later. But at the end of the day, investment is just one part of personal finance. A lot of people I've heard normally comes from the younger crowds. That's why I want to talk to you guys about this. They tell me that, I run personal finance. I do myself. I can invest myself. They say, okay, cool, great. You can invest yourself. That's great. But investment to personal finance is kind of like how the engine is to a car. It is very important for sure. All right. An engine is very important to the car. But the engine alone does not make the car, if you get what I mean. If you have a car without an engine, it won't work. But if you have an engine alone, you're also not going anywhere. Okay, so that's kind of how investment is to the whole personal finance sphere. So there's actually quite a lot of components about personal finance, even though investments are your main driving factor. So let me give you a bit of an idea how to picture all of this together. Okay, now I'm sure some of you may have used these apps before. And of course, for those who haven't used it, I'm sure you know about these apps, Google Maps and Waze. Right? Now, what do you guys do when you first boot up this app? Let's say you open the app, it's on your phone. What do you do when you key in, right? What do you do to key in? What do you write in? All right. Now, the answer to that is you key in your destination. All right. You key in your destination. Now, if you key in your destination, and let's say you want to go to KLCC, specifically the KLCC Mall, Suria KLCC. Do you type Suria KLCC or do you type Kuala Lumpur? Right? The answer, obviously, for a lot of people, it's like a duh moment, right? You would type Suria KLCC. Okay. Now, why does this matter? For a lot of personal finance, right? A lot of people tell me, Ian, I want to be rich, right? I want to get financial freedom, just like in the chat, right? I see somebody wants financial freedom. I want financial freedom. I want to be rich. I want to be successful. I want to be happy. Let me ask you guys, what does this mean? What does this mean? Really? Right? How do you plan to get that? Because personal financial freedom is different from person to person. Happiness is different from person to person. Success is different from person to person. Being rich is different from person to person. So all these things considered, you need to know a little bit about at least where it is you are going. And for everybody, I recommend, if you don't know the next 10 years and you don't know the next 20 years, that's fine. What you do know is that at some point in life, you want to potentially retire. Maybe it's 45, maybe it's 50. I know for a lot of us in the younger crowd, right? We like to retire before the government tells us to. Official retirement age is 60 years old. EPF retirement age is 55 years old. Some people want to retire at 50. Some people want to retire earlier. So if you do want to retire earlier, right, you need to know, at least have an idea, that is your timeline. You want to retire at that particular age. And so that's where you plan for. And you have to think about all sorts of things that you want at that point in time. Along the way, you can add objectives. For example, let's say along the way you want to, okay, let's say we're going from KL to Singapore, right? And you just know you want to go to Singapore and you want to get there by the end of the day. Okay. Now, along the way, you can make as many pit stops as you like. You can stop in Malacca for some food. You can stop along the way, and then you can sort of decide how long you want to spend, and so on and so forth. Okay. So with personal finance, this is the most important thing. Without this map guideline, okay, it's very difficult to arrange anything. It's very difficult to know how fast should you go, how much risk should you take, how much should you invest. You don't know. Okay, so make sure this is one of the first things that you need to do. Now, components of personal finance, I would say these are the general components, and we come back to the car analogy, right? So your income and expenditure, or rather your cash flow, okay, is one part of your personal finance, and then of course how much cash you have, how much assets you have, your safe or secure investments, you have your growth investments, and then of course you have your risk management. And if you compare this to the big picture overall, and you compare this to, for example, to the cars, what happens is that I would say the car overall is like your personal finance as a whole. Okay, the whole vehicle is your personal finance. Therefore, you have your engine, which are the growth investments, which is, like I said, what everybody likes to talk about, all the exciting things. Okay, your petrol is your cash flow, right? So your monthly income or allowance plus minus off your expenditure, that's what you've got to work with to feed your engine. And so if you've got no petrol to feed your engine, you're also going nowhere, right? Brakes are secure investments, so never underestimate how important safe investments are. They're boring by nature, so they're not going to excite you. But for example, during massive market downturns, being massive recessions, they do provide a lot of peace of mind. And again, the theme, guys, is you want to feel good about your finance. You don't want to worry and cause yourself a lot of anxiety. Okay, and of course, handbrake is insurance, but insurance, there's a little bit of a caveat there. I will explain this later. All right, good. I'm back. I thought I was frozen for a while. Okay. Needs to be the most important. Please make sure that you focus a lot onto the cash flow. If there is one thing, one secret, like one silver bullet to immediately have better finances overall, to feel better about finances, if there's one thing I have to pick, I would say cash flow. Okay, not investments. People who have good cash flow, generally everything else comes into play. But those who have good investments do not necessarily have everything else well handled. All right. Good cash flow. Why? Why do I say you need good cash flow? Now think about it. So cash flow basically is your income minus your expenditure, or your inflow minus your outflow. Okay. And what does this do? Now imagine you have good positive cash flow, which means every month you have a little bit of surplus. Due to good management, good budgeting, so on and so forth, you've got good surplus. Now, what does that do? That means that you have a little bit of leeway, a little bit of extra to have a better lifestyle. Right? Maybe somebody's birthday. Maybe you had a bad day. You want to treat yourself. Right? Family member, special event. Right? You can afford to go and do this because, hey, you've got the extra. Right? So that gives you a slightly better lifestyle. Okay, not to say it's lavish, right? But it gives you that level of flexibility, which is the second point, in terms of what you can do. Another thing about flexibility is that, let's say there is an emergency, or let's say there's an unexpected expense. Maybe somebody in the family lost their job because of COVID, so you can help, right? You have the flexibility, that ability to say, don't worry, I can handle it, right? If you do not have good cash flow, if your cash flow is negative and you are struggling, then if you need to have a little bit of emergency, then that's going to cause even more trouble. Okay. Additionally, you have good cash flow. You can do investments. You can build up your assets. You can build up your cash holdings. And as you build up your assets and you start growing, you start, wow, I'm building my net worth. You start to see some positive effects of working. You work 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. You see, wow, I have my assets to show. Too many times I've seen people in the late 20s, 27, 28 years old, maybe working 4 or 5 years. And you look at, and when I go through their assets, they have almost nothing. So what has happened in that 4 or 5 years initially part of their career? Nothing. They have no progress. 0. 4 years are wasted just living, doing nothing. So do you want that? Do you want to feel like you wasted your 20s? The answer would be no. Right? So a good cash flow allows you to have investments. And of course, at the end of the day, having good cash flow allows you to make provisions for the unexpected. And being able to handle the unexpected gives you a lot of peace of mind. And at the end of the day, again, we say you want to feel good about your personal finance. So good cash flow, by far the most important, and this is the one which you can affect the most. All right. Okay, so how then do we build good cash flow? Now, there are many ways and lots of things you can talk about budgeting. Budgeting is one of the most boring topics. And in my full sort of modules, I will normally talk about budgeting for maybe a whole hour. But in this case, I would say it comes down to something very simple and just a mindset. Most people I find end up doing this, right? And it's not because they're bad and not because they don't want, it's just this is the normal. All right. You get your income, you spend, and balance, you save. Okay. For a lot of the young generation right now, the millennials and the Gen Z, I do find that there is a very much better mindset, a lot more adopting a better mindset, which is basically the other aspect whereby you minus off your savings first. Now, I always like to equate this as if any of you had this experience when you were younger, when you wanted to play, go out to play when you were very young in school, and your parents would say, no, you do your homework first. Okay, so if you do your homework, then you can go out and play. So it's kind of the same with our cash flow, right? Savings doesn't mean just put into the bank. Right? Savings is the important things that you will need to prepare, and I will give you a checklist later. So things like your safe investments, your growth investments, your emergency fund, and then of course, if some of you have insurances and you have that, all these things need to be done first, then spend the remainder. Okay, so that's a lot. It makes things a lot easier. I'll give you one more tip for good cash flow is that it's very hard to change the big commitment, so to speak, right? So let's say if you have a PTPTN loan repayment, you can go to PTPTN to sort of arrange for a smaller repayment. But let's say you're already paying 100 ringgit a month only. That's a very small amount, right? You can't change this too much. You can't change how much petrol costs in traveling. You can't change how much rental you have to pay or how much a car loan, house loan, any of these you can't change. What you can change is your day-to-day expenses. You can change how many coffees you buy a week. If you like to go to Starbucks, right? Maybe you need some people say, oh, I cannot function without my coffee in the morning, right? Okay. But let's say you have one coffee every morning and that costs you, let's say, maybe 10 ringgit a day. If you remove or you reduce one coffee per week, you have just cut that expense by 20%. Right? So you have the most control or most power to affect your day-to-day expenses. You can't change the big ones, you can change the day-to-day. And that is where most of the effort needs to lie. Most of your effort in managing cash flow needs to lie in the day-to-day. All right. Nowadays, a lot of us stuck at home, right? Grab food, right? Or Food Panda, right? All these deliveries. So when you do this, can be quite pricey, right? Can be quite pricey. So if it will add up. All right. Another thing, of course, is that if you are, also at home and you have cyber sales, right? Shopee, Lazada, all these things, right? Also can add up quite easily. Nowadays, with the tap of a phone, you can sort of buy everything. So you need to control your day-to-day, right? I know it's not what you want to hear. Nobody likes to have to be limited. Okay, but if you can build a good habit on knowing how far you can go, then from there you will start to have better cash flow. All right, and I'll just give one more tip is about installment plans. Now, guys, you need to all realize that the world out there, okay, all these companies out there that show up on advertisements on our phone, on Facebook, Instagram, on TV advertisements, YouTube, and all this. They're all trying to make money from us, okay? And so they're going to try to talk to us and tell us things that to get our money, right? So they want to make it easier. They want to make it easier for us to pay them. So what they do is they break it down. All right, hey, you can pay me over 12 months. You can pay me over 24 months. Phone installment plans, laptop installment plan. Nowadays, let's talk about one of Grab, right? Grab has what is called pay later, right? They all defer your payments, that you pay less and less. This is not your friend, okay? If you can only afford something because it is on an installment, you can't afford it, okay? A lot of people put in a lot of installment into their cash flow. For example, you walk in a mall and then some of you may have these water filter, Kowei water filters at home, right? 200 bucks a month, 150 bucks a month. They think, oh, small price. It's for the family. It's for the family. You add it on. You add it on too much, people can have 1,000, 2,000 a month in installment plans. But you think it's small amount, 70 ringgit, two digit, it adds up. So be very, very careful. Everybody's trying to make money from you. They're not here to help you. So you have to be very, very prudent as to where you want to put your money. and I would not recommend for you to adopt this too much. Of course, there are sometimes it is essential, and the only way you can afford it is through an installment plan, but be very, very careful. This can really, really damage your personal finances. Yeah. All right. Now, my personal finance philosophy, as I have mentioned earlier already, and I think you all should adopt, is that your money should make you feel good. When you look at your money, you should feel like I'm making some progress, or at least even if it's not a lot, you feel like, yeah, it's moving, it's starting to move. Okay. And more importantly, it should not cause you anxiety and stress. I think coming out into the working world, building your careers, or if you're still in university, final year projects, all your assignments nowadays, I think that's enough stress. I think that is enough stress. So don't add some more at this to yourself. Okay. But just like anything else, to not have stress, to not have anxiety, you do need to manage. It's not magical. Otherwise, everybody will feel good about their finances. Yeah. So make sure this is something that how you look at your finances. Okay. Now to wrap this up a little bit on our initial section on personal finance, always start with good cash flow. If your cash flow is not good, don't talk about investing. Don't talk about insurance. Don't talk about anything else. Right. Don't talk about anything else if you do not have good cash flow. That would be like trying to drive your car when the petrol pipe is leaking, right? You have to fix the petrol pipe first, your fuel injection, your fuel tank system, before you actually start doing anything else, all right? If it's a small leak, fix that. If it's a big leak, definitely fix that. You do not want to let it become the second picture, okay? Good cash flow first. Okay, guys. Now, let's move on into what everybody kind of wants to hear about, a little bit more of investing, okay? And this will be the biggest topic that we have today. Now, for a lot of people, when you come out and wanting to invest, and for a lot of those of you here in our session this morning, I find that you all want to know where you can put your money, right? And unfortunately, it's not really explained to us. Even myself, coming from a financial background, coming out of university, these are things that I did not know. So don't beat yourself over it. And I think it's a great idea that you're coming out to learn. However, learning means you need to do things right. Okay, and do things right always starts with the right mindset. Okay, now when you start to invest, there are two approaches to it, and they are very different. Okay, if you are investing for capital growth, that means that you are investing to grow your assets, i.e., capital growth. Okay, and not necessarily need to draw money from that investment. Okay. Whereas if you're investing for income generation, it means that your assets are designed to generate certain level of additional income. A lot of fresh graduates and university students, unfortunately, are always looking at income generation. Now, I don't blame you guys. I don't blame this group of people, because income is actually not very high nowadays, right? So you do want to generate a bit of extra. But if with this mindset, your asset cannot grow as much. Okay. Now, if you go for capital growth, your asset grows faster, but you may not be able to draw an income. Income generation, your asset generally grows slower, but you get a more regular income. So if you're looking for the income, you give up some growth, and if you're going for growth, you give up some income. So there is no best of both worlds, right? Okay. If anybody sort of gives you both, all right, that is where you open yourself up for losses and hopefully not scams. Some people also end up in scams due to this. Okay, so this is one thing that you need to understand. If there was a perfect investment, everybody would invest in it, and it would just be that one thing that everybody just does. That doesn't exist. Okay, so remember, when you are early in your career, when you are younger, go for capital growth. You have that time, you don't need so much of that money. Go for capital growth. Income generation would be later on, maybe towards the 10, 15 years before retirement. You want to build up that additional income. Okay. By far, please, one of the things I do notice is that for a lot of for the youth, right, you want to invest for additional income, and then they want to use the income for let's say holidays, travel, or whatsoever. Okay, and after this, I'll get into something that shows you how this doesn't quite work. Okay, all right. So anyway, this is this. Now, the next thing about investing is that you are going to be handling your personal finance, right? Personal finance is exactly that, personal. So which means, therefore, that your portfolio needs to suit how you like to manage money. If you are somebody who does not have a lot of time to monitor, okay, maybe you're an internship, maybe you are family with a family business, so on and so forth, right? Maybe you just don't like to wake up so early in the morning, right? So you don't have so much time availability to manage certain active investments that need you to be very hands-on. So you don't need to do it. Maybe you're somebody who doesn't like financial topics, right? Maybe, oh man, pouring through all these company documents and reading up personal finance. I know it's important to manage finance, but I don't like to do that. Maybe you're like that, right? If you are like that, then also build a portfolio that doesn't require you to have to look at all these details. A lot of finance gurus and get rich quick schemes or get rich quick sort of training courses, they always talk about, oh, you need to read read all the articles, you need to go and be informed, do your own research and all these things like that. Okay, what if you don't like it? What if you don't like it? Then it's okay. You have to find a tool that suits how you like to manage. Just because your best friend, your boyfriend, girlfriend, your parents, your family member is doing some sort of investment, it does not mean that is the best investment for you. And unfortunately, I mean, I understand humans, especially Asian culture, we are very communal, right? We like to refer. So what my friend is doing, I want to try. What my family is doing, I want to try. I listen to my father, mother, uncle, auntie, brother, cousin, whatever the case is, right? But sometimes it's not suitable for you. And in that case, doing that particular investment will cause you more anxiety and stress. Okay. Another thing is commitment, right? Maybe you have some interest or whatever, but you don't like to actively manage. Then don't find something that needs you to actively manage. What about if you are risk tolerance? If some clients of mine, they cannot tolerate any red color in their portfolio. Okay, so if they see something drop 2%, and 2% is not a big drop, they get stressed. So in those situations, we have to build a portfolio that suits their style. I'll just tell you a personal story. So back in maybe like 15 years ago, I think my mom bought a property somewhere in Publica. When Publica first started, something like that, okay? And my mom is notoriously, she hates managing assets. She just likes to keep liquid assets, right? And so what happened was that due to her family friends, and I also know this auntie uncle, they're very into property. So my mom followed that, and it was a good property. The value appreciated, but my mom was very, very sort of. I can see that she did not enjoy having to manage the property, having to deal with the property agent, having to deal with leakage in the property. The tenant is staying, something break, the light freak, you have to fix all this. She doesn't like to handle it. Okay. So in that case, would the property have been the best thing for her? I mean, you could probably get somebody to handle it for you if you could do that, right? But other than that, you're doing something, yes, which grows your money, but it makes you feel worse off. Okay, so you have to find a balance in between. I'm not saying that the debt was a bad idea because the property did appreciate in value, but she sold it way before that because she didn't want to have to stress with it. Okay. However, you have to keep this in mind. What you can do for your investments is very important as well. Yeah. Okay. Now, avoid, please. I know this may fall on a bit of deaf ears, right? Avoid hype. If anything is hyped up, I generally stay away with a 10-foot pole. Okay. Somebody talked about To the Moon just now. Okay. If you're watching on the social platform Reddit, right? For some of you who know about that, they're talking about GameStop stocks, Bitcoin, Dogecoin. Okay. These are all hype. All right, which means that a lot of the value is not driven by actual results. It's driven by what people think. And what humans think is an emotion. And I do not know whether you want to bet your finances on emotions. Okay, so avoid hype in general. I would say a good rule of thumb, if everybody's talking about it, be very careful. Okay, trends, same thing, same like that, right? And please avoid what other people are doing. Not to say that it's a bad thing. You can always research. You can always go and research, explore. However, don't do something because somebody else is doing it. Okay? Don't have this FOMO, fear of missing out. Okay? It's hard to resist. I know sometimes I also feel like, well, maybe if I put my money into Bitcoin, I could make a lot of money, right? Okay? But come back down, detach yourself from all the hype. This is your personal finance. At the end of the day, if any mistakes happen, you are the one who faces repercussions. So make sure you try and avoid that. Yeah? Okay, let me put a little bit in perspective now for a little, so some of you here. So we talk about some of these major big shot investors, famous names in globally. Okay, and I think the most famous here will be Warren Buffett. Now this table is a little bit outdated. I think I got these details back in 2017, but I think it stands, right? The information that stands. So if you just look at Warren Buffett, right? Warren Buffett has annual return per year compounding is just over 20%. Okay, just over 20%. So if you've got somebody telling you that they can do, let's say, 5% per month, okay, 5% per month, 5 times 12, 60%. So this fella is doing over 60% per year, okay, and he says, guaranteed, I can do this for you, for sure. Okay, maybe it's a foreign exchange investor, maybe it's some whatever cryptocurrency. A lot of these guys going around. You can just Google. Okay, maybe it's one of these. I'm not sure if you all know, but there was among the Malay market recently, there was something called private mandate, a private investment scheme, giving you 20%, 25% per year. Okay, for all their numbers. So if you look at all this, and so they're all outperforming Warren Buffett. So shouldn't Warren Buffett go and learn from them? Shouldn't they go and teach Warren Buffett? Shouldn't your cousin who is doing foreign exchange at 8% per month go and then teach Warren Buffett how to invest? Right? It doesn't work that way, right? If your investment is so good that it's outperforming Warren Buffett for sure, like globally, okay, consistently, then shouldn't everybody put their money in there? Shouldn't it appear on the front page of newspapers? Everybody put your money into this investment, you are sure to make money. Shouldn't that happen? Why doesn't it happen? If somebody can offer 8%, why aren't they managing for banks? Why aren't they doing it for big firms? Why aren't they starting their own firm? Okay, so that put things in a bit of perspective, for a lot of people, they can tell you that they can do certain investments at certain rates of return. Okay, that may be for 1 year. You can do 20% 1 year, 30% 1 year, 2 years maybe, 3 years maybe. Consistently, that's where the problem starts. And at the end of the day, guys, personal finance is a long-term thing. So you have to think about your average return over many, many years. And if you put that all together, okay, in my experience, if you can do 8% per year, 8% per year, only 8% per year, consistently from now until you retire, you will outperform a lot of people. Okay, you will outperform a lot of people. Okay, now of course, if you're Warren Buffett, you'll be at 20. Okay, if you run a business, you are running a business by yourself, you open, let's say, whatever business and you're running it, that is not really considered really an investment as well, because you are actively doing your day-to-day job. But if you're just passively putting money into something, aim for 8%. Okay, if somebody promises you double-digit returns consistently, be careful. Okay, that's one of the first signs of scams. And I mean, in Asian culture, you can just, every so often newspaper will come up, somebody gonna scam. You see on Facebook, somebody gonna scam. So you do not want that to happen. A lot of scams and problems happen because of false perspective. People look at 8%, they say, oh, it's too low. But I've spoken to very, very big investors. They have multiple, many million. And then I say, normally I aim for 5 to 8. They say, wow, we can do 5 to 8 consistently. Oh, that's very good. Because I was at the Securities Commission with them for a meeting, and I was talking to this big shot investor, and I was getting very nervous that, oh, maybe you're going to judge me of what I recommend to my clients, right? And so he asked me, so what do you do for safe investment? I said, I go for something maybe safe related to bonds, maybe about 5% return consistently. He said, oh, that's very good. That's very good. So for a big shot investor to tell me 5% is very good, I feel, oh, okay, that's quite good. And then we have the fresh graduate telling me that 10% is too low. Okay, so you need to have the correct perspective. Otherwise, things can go really, really wrong. And if you damage your personal finances, you get into a lot of problems. I mean, if you're very young, maybe you can recover, but that's not something you want to be in. Okay, general rule. There are, of course, exceptions to investments. I would say good investments should be about 10% max. Okay, there are exceptions. There are always exceptions. Okay, but aim for your portfolio to have 10% maximum return of many different items. Not everything is 10%. There will be some at 5, some at 12, some at maybe 7 or 8. It balances out maybe to about 10. Okay, now let's look at the actual investments, guys. Maybe about another 20-25 minutes or so. Okay, when it comes to stocks, and this is what a lot of people like to do, and I do recommend it because stocks are really good for growing your investments. And if you are still in university, you have a bit of time you can explore to see whether this is something that you would like to do or not. If you don't like, never mind, there's another option. However, if you do like it, hey, why not? Yeah. So 2 approaches when it comes to doing stocks. One is called investing. One is called trading. Okay. Now, trading is what everybody talks about. It's the fast-paced, exciting, one day make 10%, one day make 20% return. Okay, I mean, you must think about it, it's averages out. One day you can make 10, next day you lose 10, then it kind of balances out, right? So in terms of trading, okay, a lot of trading depends on the emotions of the people. For example, let's say, I know. If any of you were looking at the stock market back in 2018 when the Malaysian government changed over to the new government, right? You notice a trend among a lot of stock investors is that whenever a new government comes in, a lot of companies linked to the ministers will go up in value. Okay, and some of these in companies don't necessarily have any business. They don't do anything really. They didn't get additional contracts. They didn't do anything else. They just go up because why people feel that because related to the minister, therefore the price goes up. This is all emotion. Whether it has value or doesn't have value, we don't know. Okay, so be very, very careful. Do you want to put your hard-earned money into human emotion? Okay, if you want, then okay, be aware of it. But if you don't, that's fine. Now, the one that I do recommend is on the left side called investing, whereby you've identified that there is something of value. For example, let's say you have identified a company, let's say Maybank, okay? Now this is not a recommendation to buy Maybank. I'm just giving you an example, okay? I just giving you an example of a company that everybody knows. And you say, okay, Maybank value is quite low, or rather Maybank's price is quite low. They're still a good bank. They are still having quite low profits. I want a piece of that pie. I want some of that profits. Then you buy into that stock, you get dividends, the price goes up. Okay. So you're collecting value. It's a bit of a longer term game, but it's something that is significantly less risk and requires less hands-on management. Okay. But if you want to buy a stock at the end of the day, I would say the secret question you ask yourself is this company making money? Are they going to continue making money? And have people already responded to it? Okay, so one of the things that some people like to talk about maybe in the past year is that a lot of the rubber gloves stocks have gone up in price, right? Rubber gloves have gone up in price. So yes, demand had increased, but if the price has already skyrocketed and gone all the way up, then there's not a lot of value for you to extract out of it. Okay, so you identify a place with value, but people have already taken the value. In that case, then it's not so good of an idea. All right. Next, mutual funds. So with mutual funds or unit trust, the idea is that you are hiring a manager, an expert to manage. So a lot of this invest in stocks as well. But instead of you directly investing in stocks, there is a professional who is doing it for you. So if you're not the type who wants to manage it directly, you are not the type who wants to be hands-on and watch the markets every day, then this is your choice, okay? But just like any stock, mutual funds have good and bad. So you do need to be careful as well. Okay, and the question basically when choosing a unit trust is, do you have confidence in the managerial team? That's the most important thing because that's the one you're hiring. That's the one you're paying fees for. Okay, do you have confidence in the managerial team? Another thing I will add that I didn't write here is, do you have confidence in the industry or the region? So now a lot of funds, they like to talk about China, right? So do you have confidence in China? If you do, hey, that's great. If you don't, then don't. Okay, so this kind of things how you look at. Another thing to evaluate unit trust is to see how it has performed versus its benchmark. Most unit trust funds measure their performance versus something in the market, some normal sort of market measurement. And so they compare themselves to that. And if they've been underperforming the benchmark, then why would you invest in this? Okay. Property. Okay. Now, if you are buying this place to stay, then this is not the topic we're talking about. We're talking about buying property for investment. Okay, if you're buying to stay, there are only two rules I always tell my clients. Number one, you like the place, you love the place. Number two, you can afford it. These two only. Okay, that's about buying to stay. Now, if you're buying to invest, you have to be very, very careful. Think about it like a business. Because what happens most of the time in property, especially in Malaysia, you rush into it, you are paying a big down payment. So you pay money. And most of the time, what happens is your rental cannot cover your mortgage. It's something that is very common now. Your rental income from renting out the property cannot cover how much you have to pay to the bank. So what happens is you've paid a big chunk of money to lose money every month. And then at the end of the day, because property prices are all a bit suppressed, you don't really get at the end. So you paid money you spend money to lose money to maybe lose more money at the end of the day. How is that a good idea? Okay lah, you get to call yourself property owner, but may not be the right idea. Okay, so if you're starting so think about property as you're starting a business. How much is the capital outlay, right? What is your running cost? What is your mortgage repayment, loan repayment? How much is your maintenance? You need to think about these things. And what is your potential income from there? Okay. And at the end of the day, will there be demand? A lot of people rush into property. One of the properties that a lot of people like to rush into is the Prima houses, Rumah Whip, and all these kind of things, right? The low cost housing. You are one unit out of 200 units, and everybody also buying for the same purpose. How you want to rent out? Right? How do you want to sell your property if you are one out of 200? You have to push your price down. So will there be demand? Okay. If you're buying somewhere very, very outskirt, okay, will there be demand? You need to evaluate these things when it comes to property. Okay. It's not a cut and dry. I would recommend do not go near property until you are very, very clear of very good, very high level of cash flow. Okay. It is no longer the gold standard for investments. Okay. No longer. Those days, yes. Nowadays, not so much. It is good, okay? Don't get me wrong, it's good, but don't rush into it. Foreign exchange, very popular as well, okay? Now, I actually discourage this first and foremost because foreign exchange as a asset holding by itself, it's not sort of grounded in any value generation, okay? You cannot say 10 ringgit will try to make you more money. 10 ringgit doesn't become 11 ringgit by itself. 10 US dollars does not become 11 US dollars by itself. Okay, so it doesn't generate any value, which means therefore that there are a lot of factors that govern the price. Some people want the price of the currency to go up, some people want the price of the currency to come down. Importers, exporters, they want different things. So you never know, or rather you can't really make the judgment as to which way it's going to go. It's two levels of risk. With a stock, you know the price wants to go up. But with this, you don't know if the price wants to go up or not. Okay, so which means then you are trading based on fluctuation, again, human emotion. Okay, so if you are very, very familiar with this and you are very hands-on, I would say, okay, be careful, can do. However, if most foreign exchange investments that I do see are not done by yourself, it's always done through some platform, some company doing it for you. And they promise 8% per month. Okay, the majority of scams, if Bank Negara keeps a list of blacklisted companies, the majority of the scams are in foreign exchange and gold. Okay, so foreign exchange is one of them. So I'm always very, very careful. I would not recommend. I highly discourage it for you. And also another thing, okay, guys, it's illegal in Malaysia, okay, to do foreign exchange. Not to do as in we invest, but for you to run an investment firm doing foreign exchange. Currency is very heavily regulated. Okay, Bank Negara controls the flow of currency very, very heavily. So banks are allowed to do it, but still a lot of limitations. So most of the platforms that do foreign exchange, that sell you these foreign exchange investments, they're all registered in some strange company offshore where it's easy to send money there, but difficult to take money back. Ends up being some sort of shady investment, right? And the worst thing, if things go bad, you have nothing you can do. You can't even report to authorities because it's registered in some unknown country with unknown people involved. Okay, so I would not recommend this. Okay, cryptocurrency on a similar level as a currency is the same thing. It doesn't generate value. It's just computer code, so on and so forth. Of course, now there are asset-backed cryptocurrencies, but in general, I would say I would avoid. Okay, the price depends on the confidence in the system, confidence in the coin or in the currency. Again, human emotion, and I generally do not like to put my money into human emotions. Another thing that is that I find in terms of cryptocurrencies, a lot of this decentralized stuff, unregulated nature. You know, I can exchange currency without going to the bank. I can, buy things without people tracking me. Well, here's the thing. This is an unregulated thing that's trying to be mainstream in a regulated world. A world regulated by central banks, Bank Negara, Monetary Authority of Singapore, Federal Reserve. Their job is to maintain and protect their national currency. So if any of these, you think about it, any of these currencies, let's say Bitcoin, the biggest one of them, starts to threaten a major currency, they're just going to slap down with regulations, right? Because they are regulators, they can put in law, and they just put in law to say illegal, finish. Okay, so I feel that this is not going to be something that will go very, very big. The existing ones, okay. So I would stay away from cryptocurrency, especially the value is not backed by anything. Okay, there's nothing that you can't exchange it for for something that is in value being held. It's just a computer code. Now, that being said, guys, the technology behind cryptocurrency or blockchain and all this digital currency, now that I agree is the future. Most of the time in the future, we're going to have digital currency. So it will happen, but it won't be Bitcoin. Okay. And I'll tell you this why. So in every country, there's only one currency. Okay. Every country only has one currency. There's no space for two. Okay. So if a country wants to have a digital currency, if they want to use a cryptocurrency as their main currency, why don't they just create their own? Like what China has done with the e-renminbi. You can do that because there are so many cryptocurrencies, you can create your own. Why can't they make an e-ringgit or an e-US dollar? Why would they need to adopt Bitcoin? Okay, so therefore, in terms of whatever this Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all these things, even though yes, that's it's driven by emotion currently, driven by market demand and supply and demand. Long term, not going to go so much. I think I just read somewhere. I think adopters of cryptocurrency is less than 2% globally. So it's very small. Right now, they say, okay, this child's play, let your handler play around with it. But if it goes too big, they will slap down with regulation, and that will cause problems. Okay, generally stay away. All right. And one more thing, I do find this is very, very curious about cryptocurrency. All these cryptocurrency advocates talking about why you should do and how is the future and how you should be doing it, so on and so forth. They're all not from the financial sphere, right? They're not all from the financial background, right? I look at the influencer, the Instagram influencers talking about how you to build your assets in cryptocurrency. One, they're all day-to-day job is what? Creative designer, marketing, or something other than finance. Why is that the case? It's like a bunch of accountants started writing medical blogs, right? Would you take a lot of pay a lot of attention to it? Yeah, but by nature, these people are influencers, right? So they're very good at influencing you. So just be aware. When put things in perspective, becomes regarding cryptocurrency. Okay, and of course, fixed deposit, I would say, is just a store of cash. If you want to store cash there, I do not consider this an investment, and especially now, interest rates are actually very, very low. Okay, so moving on, how do we build your portfolio? So I would say it's like constructing a building. All these are different tools, right? Even cryptocurrency, if you know how to do it well, has a place within your portfolio. And so generally, I would say you need to build like how we build KLCC. Foundation first, something solid, secure, and stable, right? Mutual funds if you like, stocks, property, and then of course you have your speculative investments, maybe crypto, maybe foreign exchange. If you are really into it, sure, okay, just be aware of the risks. Okay, be like building a building. There are components elsewhere. Okay, now the story I have to tell is this: if you go to KLCC, you take a photo with your friend. Most of the time, the background is like this. It's going to take a background of the towers. Does anybody take a photo of the foundation? Do you say, wow, this foundation is a work of art? People don't say that. But can we then say, oh, no need foundation in that case? When we build a building, no foundation. You also can't do that. Okay? Because why? Heavy rain, strong wind. If you have no foundation, your building will collapse. I ask you guys, what does the foundation or the sky bridge do more for the building for KLCC? The foundation or the sky bridge? Which one does more? Most people will say foundation. Without foundation, cannot. Without sky bridge, maybe can. But the sky bridge is the exciting one. It's the one that everybody, wow, so nice, connects the building. Okay? Same thing with your investments, guys. Your foundation, your safe investments are not going to appeal to you. Okay? You're going to be excited about the stocks. You're going to be excited about the crypto and the foreign exchange, whatever the case is that you want to do. But just remember, without the foundation, the whole portfolio doesn't survive. Okay? All right. Now we go on to a bit of our miscellaneous topics. A little bit about insurances. Now, insurance is very straightforward. I just have one simple rule about it. Okay, but before that, let's a little bit understand. Insurance is just a contract. Okay, it's just a contract between customers, us as the customers, and the insurance company. If a bad event X occurs, then the insurance company pays out the money. That is all. That is all. Okay. So when you want to buy insurance, or if you are thinking of buying insurance, or if some of you here are maybe helping family with insurance decisions, so on and so forth. The most important thing is, who do you need to pay? Now, insurance is a cost, okay? Guys, insurance is a cost. So like any cost, it has to make sense. It has to make sense. We take the car example. If you are driving a Proton Saga, will you buy Formula One brakes? Answer is no. But if you are driving a Formula One car, Can you buy Formula One? Can you buy Proton Saga brakes for a Formula One car? The answer is also no. So it has to make sense. It has to be appropriate. So who is it to pay? I would say I break it down to three. Forget about all the jargon, all the different terms in insurance. Just think about three. You want to pay yourself, you want to pay your family, or you want to pay the hospital. Okay. So if you don't need to pay yourself, you don't have a lot of commitments, you don't have a lot of responsibilities, why you need to pay yourself? Paying family. Is anybody relying on you to survive? If yes, then you need it. If no, then you don't need it. Right? Normally paying family, things like if you die, somebody gets the money. But if you have no dependents, nobody depends on you, then why do you need it? Right? Because insurance agents will tell you, oh, protect, 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 always keep protection, safe, safe, safe. Okay. If you don't need it, why you want to buy it? Right? Pay hospital is something that, of course, I believe everybody will need. But pay hospital has a limitation. If all your hospital bills are being paid already, okay, or rather your insurance pays all your bills, why do you need to upgrade? Okay. So just think about who is it that you want to pay. Do you need to pay this person? Ask yourself this question whenever you are thinking about insurances. So I always advise my clients, the clients who get insurance from me, of course, straightforward, I do it for them. But for those who just want advice, do you need to pay this person? Right? It's a good point, right? If you don't need to pay the person, don't buy it. Okay. And of course, another additional note, just to add on, if somebody is talking to you about using insurance as an investment, okay, you slap them first and then you tell them no such thing. Okay. A lot of people in currently talking about insurance as an investment. Now, insurance can hold some value. Insurance can hold some financial value. However, the nature of the design of the products, even those so-called investment-linked insurances, they do not constitute an investment to you. I repeat, these investment-linked insurances do not constitute an investment to you, which means, yes, the investment word is in the name, but it doesn't make you money. Okay, it doesn't make you money. And for me to talk about that, I can just spend 1 whole hour talking about this, the design, the structure of insurance policies, and how it's not an investment to you. So insurance is good, okay? Insurance is good, it's important, it's very important risk management tool, but it's a cost, so manage the cost, and do not use it as an investment, okay? Now, there are different category of products called endowment, savings plans, or whatever. Some are true investments, some are true investments, but those of them have almost no insurance on it. Almost no insurance. So if something is giving you good coverage, it's not an investment. If something has no coverage through an insurance company or very minimal, absolutely minimal, maybe. But must remember, insurance companies are not designed to make you money. They're designed to make money from you to protect your financial interests. So be careful. Okay. All right. Loans and debts, also very, very common. Huh? So I would say in terms of loans, there are only 3 loans I would say are decent or okay to consider taking: study loan, business loan, and property loan. Now, the common factor among all these 3, okay, I just see that there are some, there's a comment about medical insurance. I'll get to later. If I forget, Vicky, remind me to answer this question on medical insurance later. Okay, so in terms of loans, the similarity among these 3 loans, okay, is that they can all result in higher returns at the end of the day. You take a study loan, you have higher economic value, you earn more money. Business loan can generate more money. Property loan may generate more money for you. All the other loans lose money. Personal loan especially, okay? Personal especially, car loan, car depreciates in value, okay? All the rest normally generally lose money. So I would not recommend for the others. This, not to say that you will take these, but if you are considering one of these, it is better than the others, okay? So these are the good loans. Okay, now be smart, please. Again, banks are not your friends. I remember driving past Bangsa LRT, and the Bank Rakyat has an advertisement there talking about taking a personal loan for your honeymoon. Okay, I mean, it's attractive. I mean, attractive name and all the photos of going on honeymoon, right? Nice, right? But don't just take it because the bank offers to you. And for those of you who are working, or when you come out to work, when the bank sees you have regular money coming in, they say, I want a piece of your money. So they will call you and say, hey, I got personal loan now. Just say the word, okay, I'll give you 10,000 in your bank. Okay. So, and then it'll cost you more in the long run. Personal loans are by far one of the most damaging loans to your personal finance. It is the easiest to take. That's kind of the reason why. So I would highly discourage it. Personal, I consider, is absolute emergency only. Okay, yeah, so don't just take it for that. How much will it cost you to take the loan? This is something that to be important as well. A loan is basically you are borrowing money. So what is the cost like? Okay, sometimes some people they don't pay off their credit cards, right? They don't pay off the credit card. Credit card interest is 20% per year, or 18% per year, to be exact, 18% per year. So I just ask you guys, let's say you go and buy a coffee at 10 ringgit. Okay. Can I ask you, I just come up to you and I say, hey, can you pay me 1 ringgit 80 cents extra, 18% extra? Do you say, why? Ian, why should I pay 18%? I say, no, just because. And you say, what will you guys say? Everybody will say, no. Why should I pay this 18% extra? But yet, on a credit card, a lot of people are okay with paying this 18% extra. So it's really, really weird. Okay. So don't just take loans for fun. Okay, make sure you have an idea how much you are going to pay. All right. Another note for my Bumiputra friends, since it's Hari Raya, might as well talk a bit about Bumiputra friends over here. ASB, Amanah Saham Bumiputra loan. Okay, some people have to take that loan to invest in Amanah Saham Bumiputra. Again, I will highly discourage it, because why? At the end of the day, the bank is making your dividend from you. So ASB, Amanah Saham Bumiputra, gives you a dividend every year. Last year was about 4.25%. The bank charges you about 4 to 5% interest. So they're basically taking your interest. They're taking your Bumiputra rights. So what? Right? So I normally would not recommend. And just one thing, like, put in perspective, do you see any rich Malay man or woman become rich from doing ASB loan? The answer is no. So why do that? Okay, I always call ASB loan is a bit like a poor man's trap. All right? So just another note for that. Okay. All right. So moving on, how to avoid scams. I would say a scam doesn't cause you trouble at the beginning. Okay. It's designed to be very attractive at the start. Okay. So the idea is that it gives you, if you have something that is too good to be true, really, sometimes you just have to be more cautious. In investments, there are 3 criteria normally you look at: liquidity, how easy to turn something to cash; capital preservation means how safe it is; and return is how much money you make. If something gives you everything, be very careful. Imagine I give you an investment. I say, hey, you can invest in something like this. You can put in any time and you can withdraw any time, which means liquidity is very high. And you get 10% per month, guaranteed. Okay? Right? So I give you everything. Liquidity in and out anytime. Capital all safe. Super safe. Maximum return. Very, very, very careful. If this investment existed, everybody should just invest in it. But it doesn't. Okay. So the secret question is, one of the things that you can ask, if you are a little bit unsure about these investments, you ask who the regulator is. Who is the one who authorizes this investment? For example, it could be the Securities Commission of Malaysia. In Singapore, it's the Monetary Authority. For some other countries, it would be the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission. That's in the US. Every country will have one. And so if it's not registered, or if it's registered in a country that you don't recognize, then why? If you are selling in Malaysia, why can't you register with SC if you're so legit? Okay. Now, wrapping up, a bit of a summary. Okay, so when it comes to personal financial literacy, okay, guys, this is your takeaway. Right? After all things that we covered today, a little bit about takeaway. Here are the things that I think 6 points that if you can sort of adopt into your personal finances, you already make a difference, maybe at least better than half of the population, more than half of the population already. Okay. So number 1, cash flow, right? So you need to make sure that cash flow is the most important, that you spend less than you earn, right? Number 2, you must have safe investments that grow slow and steady. And about, for me, what I do to my clients, 4 to 5% returns per annum. Yes, 4 to 5, save money, okay? Because at some point, if let's say you retire and there's a recession, you need to have some money that is safe while waiting for the recession to recover, okay? So you need to have these safe investments. Last year, when COVID hit and the markets dropped 30%, so I told all my clients who have these safe investments, I said, don't worry, everything is, all the safe investments are doing what they're doing, 4 to 5% per year. The risky ones, we expected the risk, it's okay. And so then they all like, oh, that sounds good. Then they ask me the next question, how else can we make more money? Okay, so when they have their safe investments, they are thinking then, all right, I feel good. I want to know how I can make money from this recession, make money from this COVID downturn. Whereas those who did not have the safe investments get panicky. Their portfolio dropped 20-30%. They say, oh, better pull out, better stay safe, right? And so you don't want that, because it's always better to, all markets, when everybody is worried, you always have the opportunity to make more money. So those people who feel better about their money, who have more security due to they have the safe investments, they always can think more objectively, like, okay, I have my safe investments, how else can I make money? Whereas those who do not have this generally can be a bit more worried, okay? Then, of course, yes, you must have your growth investments. Without growth investments, you are going nowhere. No engine, okay? You're going nowhere. So you must realize that this is where most of the growth will be. And you must accept that there will be fluctuation and losses, okay? The analogy I like to use is like if you are playing a yo-yo on an escalator. So the yo-yo will move up and down, but the escalator will go up. So you eventually will move up, okay? So you must be able to tolerate that. 10, 20% fluctuation, quite normal, okay? So these three things first, okay? Next, emergency fund. It's a little bit important, I would say. The younger you are, if you're staying with parents, not as important. Maybe you only need 1 to 2 months of emergency funds, okay? But otherwise, if you're starting to work, I would say 3 is good to have. If you are very conservative, and there are some people, I tell them they need 3 months of living expenses, they say, no, Ian, I need 12. Okay, some people are very conservative, they need a much higher sort of cushion. Okay, fine, I would say 6 would be max. Okay, if you are in the young crowd. If you have a lot of responsibility, you've got children, you're married, got family, house loan, whatever the case, then maybe it can justify you need 12. But otherwise, I would say 3 to 6 is a good idea. You don't need to build it up immediately, build it up over time. Okay, next, insurance, only get what you need. Okay, remember it's a cost. And finally, loans only if necessary, and please avoid personal loans as far as possible. Only in absolute emergency. Okay, so I had a friend. She turned 30 years old, and she thought, since I'm 30 years old, I should be getting a house. That was her thought process. She came to me and asked me for some help. And so she couldn't. She didn't have the money for the down payment. So what she did was she took a personal loan to pay the down payment for the booking fee. She took a personal loan to pay the booking fee. And because she took the personal loan, then her finances don't look so good, right? So then the loan for the house got rejected. And so she didn't get her booking fee back. So she took a personal loan and she put the money into the booking fee for the property. And because the personal loan, the house loan got rejected, she only got back half the booking fee. So she lost money there, and then she stuck with the personal loan. Okay, because she used personal loans just willy-nilly just to try and get rid. It doesn't work that way. Okay, try to avoid. All right. Now, to wrap things up before we enter Q&A, I'll just end with a little bit of a story, yeah? Okay, so let's say there are two friends, Mr. X and Mr. Y. They're best friends, and they're both 24 years old, okay? Now, the first guy, Mr. X, he says, okay, right now I'm young, I've got no commitments, so I'll save money, all right? I maybe earn 2,800, 3,000 ringgit a month. I'll save 500. Say 500 ringgit, okay? And so he saves 500 ringgit for, let's say, 6 years and 8 months. 500 ringgit a month until age 31, about 7 years. Total he sets aside is about 40,000, okay? And let's say he puts an investment at 10% return, okay? When he turns 60 years old, he would have 1 million, okay? So I repeat, he put money for 7 years, 6 years and 8 months, and then he stops putting money, okay? And he just keeps that investment going until age 60 years old. At the end of the day, he would have 1 million. Okay, so he only invested for the first 6 to 8 months because he said first 6 to 8 months I got no commitment. When I got family, then I need to spend on family. Okay, fine. His best friend, Mr. Y, is the other way around. Mr. Y says, I'm young, I don't earn very much money, 2008 only, and since I'm in my 20s, it's the time to enjoy life. I'm young, I'm single, I should enjoy life. Right? When I'm a manager, when I earn more, when I got family, then I save lah. Then I got responsibility, then I save. Okay, so he does that at 31 years old. He starts becoming a manager, and so he's all right. So now I'll put aside 500 a month. Now, if we do the math, he needs to set aside 500 a month for 28 years and 10 months. From 31 years old all the way to 60, he needs to save 500 a month to match the results of his best friend. Okay? To match the result of his best friend, he needs to save 4 times more. Okay? 4 times longer to have the same result. Just because he said he wants to enjoy the first 7 years. Not to say you can't really, and not say Mr. X never enjoyed the first 7 years, but the other guy, you all know people like this, right? Now, guys, for all of you here today, who you want to be? After today's session, is you want to do something, or you don't want to do something, or you want to get started, or you don't want to get started. All right? I know people in 27, 28 years old say, I'm not ready, I'm not ready. Okay? I mean, there's never going to be a perfect time. Okay? But the most important thing is some progress is better than no progress. Right? So who do you want to be, Mr. X or Mr. Y? Okay, so now we come towards the end. So for all those, just before we go into Q&A, I'll leave this slide on. For just before we go into Q&A, I always like to give you a little bit of I say somewhere you can get started. Because I talked about all this all today, and you're like, okay, yeah, let me do something. Then after that, how? I need to go spend my whole weekend doing research. Okay, let me give you a bit for those of you who do want. Okay, if you like to get started on your personal finances, okay, but you are not sure how, if you want professional advice, or if you want to enhance what you started so far, you want a professional opinion, okay, or you just want to feel good about your finance overall, you want to start and feel good about your finance, then scan this QR code. I have a complimentary quick checkup. Either myself or one of my junior associates will be in touch with you, and we'll just have a quick Zoom call, talk about a little bit what you have done and see what else we can do. Of course, if there are things that you want to engage us for, then hey, why not? Right? We can discuss that further. But this is a complimentary chit-chat session to see what else we can do. If you like it, please feel free to sign up. Of course, only for Malaysians, or if you are working already, non-Malaysian working in Malaysia, then can. This is just due to regulatory requirements. All right. So that's the end for today. Thank you very much for being with me. Let's go on into our Q&A currently. Okay. So I will address this question from Abhirami regarding the medical insurance related to it. Is it for investment? So Abhirami, you're still in the meeting. Okay. So the rule of thumb generally, I would say, is that if an insurance policy is providing you substantial coverage, and medical is very substantial coverage, means it's a very clear kind of coverage, I would say that then that is not an investment. Okay, because why? You must remember that coverage for insurance costs money. There are fees. And so if there are fees, whatever returns that it may generate for you, okay, maybe offset by that. So at the end of the day, you don't make money. Okay, now that is one thing that you can think about. Another thing, medical insurances currently in Malaysia, the majority of them are attached to what they call investment-linked products. Now, investment products are not investment to you, like I mentioned. The way it works is such that when you are younger, you are overpaying your premiums, your monthly cost for the insurance, you overpay. And so over time, you build up a surplus of value into the policy. This surplus of value is supposed to subsidize your increase in cost when you are older. So if you're talking about medical insurances, normally the price is flat, right? So even when you're older, the price is supposed to be flat. That's because the overpayment that you have done when you are younger is offsetting the cost when you are older. So if you have taken out this surplus of money, then your premiums cannot be subsidized. Your cost cannot be subsidized by the money that you've gathered earlier, right? Which means your coverage will just stop. So you can't take money out of the policy unless you want to stop your coverage. So how is this an investment for you? Okay, so normally for medical insurance, it's decent to have as long as it pays all your medical bills and for a reasonable price, then that's good enough. All right. Okay, guys. Any other questions related on investments, personal finance, so on and so forth? Feel free to put it in the chat box. Oh yeah. Hello.
Sir, I have a few questions to ask you.
Sure.
Can I know what is the differences between Bitcoin, Forex, stock market, and mutual fund?
Okay. Difference between Bitcoin, Forex, okay, stocks and mutual fund. Okay. Let's start with stocks. Stocks is quite straightforward. A stock is a piece of a company. So if, let's say, let's talk about Maybank again. So a Maybank stock is one small piece of Maybank. So if you own a stock of Maybank, you own one small piece of Maybank. So you are entitled to one small piece of Maybank's profits. They call this a dividend. Very straightforward, right? So that's a stock. A stock is a share of the company. So you have part ownership of the company. Okay, so that's straightforward. A mutual fund is or unit trust, which is called in Malaysia, is a portfolio of stocks, usually, but there can be other things as well. It's basically a pool of assets they're invested in some stocks. Sometimes they invest in bonds, which is not a long topic, okay, or any other investments. But basically, a mutual fund is a pool of assets that is invested by a professional manager, and you pay fees to this manager in hopes that he can do better than what you can do. So that is a mutual fund. Okay, mutual fund, pool of assets that a manager is investing. Stocks is directly a piece of the company. Okay. Now, foreign exchange is basically currency. Ringgit, Malaysian ringgit, Singapore dollar. So you're making money from the differences. So the Malaysian ringgit versus the Sing dollar, there will be some fluctuations, right? Let's say if you go for holiday, sometimes you exchange money. The money changer, you can see the numbers differ. So you are trying to make money from the differences in the price. That's foreign exchange. Foreign currency exchanged, right? Cryptocurrency is a computer code, a unique computer code, which has people used to exchange for value, or exchange for sort of monetary value, so to speak. And this is the newest one, okay? I don't profess to be a cryptocurrency expert, but I know enough to advise on the asset class itself. It is a computer code which people have put monetary value on. They didn't put money in, but they buy and sell it to each other, and they assume a rate of return. It's like, imagine if we suddenly felt that rocks have value and we started to sell rocks, right, to each other. That's kind of how cryptocurrency started about. Now, the technology behind cryptocurrency is quite good. It's making a computer file, so to speak. I'm trying to say oversimplify. Any cryptocurrency experts, can correct me. But it's basically like a computer file that cannot be duplicated. You know how you can just copy and paste computer files? But cryptocurrency is a computer file, a code that cannot be duplicated. Okay? So therefore, it's a unique code, and therefore they put some value to it. But otherwise, it is not backed by a lot by any sort of asset behind. Whereas if you hold 1 ringgit in a 1 ringgit note, technically it is backed by some value in Bank Negara that they are holding. Okay. Now I can debate this for a long time for any cryptocurrency people getting ready to tell me. I know it's a very soft, very hot topic for a lot of people, very very sensitive point. Also this, okay. But anyway, that's a general idea for what are the for. Okay. Did that answer your question, Kalai?
Yeah, I got it. Thank
Okay,
you.
great. Thanks. Jaden asks, if we were to invest in a house, should we go for new ones or auction? Okay, if you want to invest in a house, okay, so if you have the access to an auction, I would say that would be decent to look at. But either way, whether it is through new, whether it is through auction, the approach is the same. How much is your outlay? How much will it cost monthly? And what is your income from this? What is the demand? So if the new one, the outlay is fair, you can afford it. The monthly repayment is fair, you can afford it. The potential income, because you observe the area, it's like what the rental can be quite good, then that's fine. Whether it is new or if it's an auction, it doesn't matter. But however, I do find that auction is people who cannot afford to pay their properties. So for the colloquial, the sort of the unofficial way term they use is a lelong properties, right? I find normally a bit more of that hidden gems over there. Not to say they're all very very good, but normally for auction properties, I think the value is a little bit better if you want to invest, but it's not always available. Not always available. Okay. I hope the answer for you for Jaden. Derek asks differences between mutual funds and hedge funds and which benefits more. Okay, mutual funds and hedge funds in general are both managed by a manager, so that's the same. Okay, mutual funds are more grounded in fundamentals and are more mainstream, more retail, easier to access. Hedge funds are generally a little bit more higher barrier to entry. You need more money to go into, and hedge funds by nature are quite opaque, okay, which means that you can't really see what they do. They tend to use alternative investment strategies, which could make you a lot more money and could also lose you a lot more money. Okay, and one of the nature about hedge funds being so opaque and difficult to evaluate and difficult to see what they do is that if the manager or whoever is running it runs away with your money or does something shady with it, right, it's very hard to track. So hedge funds are one of the areas whereby there were a lot of scams over the past. Since hedge funds have started, a lot of them have been quite shady. Shell companies, they basically fake funds collecting money. They post fake numbers, but actually they're stealing your money. A lot of things can be there as well. So which benefits more? It depends on what risk you want to take. I would say it's kind of like building KLCC. The hedge fund will be your top of your KLCC. So if you have mutual funds already, a good portfolio, you want to enter hedge funds, that's a good idea. But if you want to start with hedge funds, it's kind of like building the bridge first of KLCC and then only want to build the towers. It doesn't work, okay? Sabrina's slowly inching to adulthood, intimidates in personal finance, is all the new terms. Is there any book that I could recommend? Here's the thing. There are a lot of, the answer to this, Sabrina, is no particular book. Okay, no particular book. I find that a lot of, so to speak, investment and finance gurus have been popping up, especially over the last year. Everybody's stuck at home. Everybody wants to run their Instagram personal finance blog now. I think you can see everywhere. Okay, every few days I will see a recommendation on my Instagram talking about somebody else who has started lah, right? Personal finance blog. So everybody fancies themselves, right? So a lot of people are like that. And the personal finance space in Malaysia is not very established quite yet. I would say the best place to go would be to go to a licensed financial planner. Licensed financial planner, guys, okay? Not many of us around, but I would say the best place to go to get started, because that would be something that, I mean, you can at least talk and discuss with a person. Like say, for example, sign up for this thing, and then we can have a chat, right? Then you can help to understand a little bit more about here and there. But if you just, if it's just about the terms, you can search. I think Investopedia is very good with a lot of these terms. In fact, it's a little bit technical sometimes, but I find that it is quite useful. And just search around for the terms wise. You can Google and search around, but there's no one book which has everything all together. Okay. Cryptocurrency, is that legal by Bank Negara? Kalai asks again. So here's the thing with cryptocurrency. I feel my personal feeling about it is that these central banks, they know that you can't sort of crack down with an iron fist onto the public. Otherwise, there will be revolt. It'll be like North Korea. So you must allow people to have free will, right? So everybody wants to do, they will allow it. So they allow certain trades. So that's why there's a platform called Luno, which allows you to have a cryptocurrency exchange that is legal. That one is registered with the Securities Commission, quite safe. But in terms of spending the currency, I think Bank Negara has said no. Okay, so for the time being, definitely I don't think that is going to happen. PayPal does accept, so if you want to spend, you can pay PayPal. But in terms of future cryptocurrency, okay, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all these, I don't think there is a lot of future. Future ringgit cryptocurrency, I think yes. Future Sing dollar cryptocurrency, yes. Future US dollar cryptocurrency, yes. But it will be the future. Each country will start to create their own cryptocurrency for use, because it is quite convenient, much better of it. Okay, so I think that's the future. Okay. Okay, Kalai asks again. What to do after accountancy? Okay, slightly off topic, right? Okay, I would say you have to try and get into something that that affects or rather has a demand and affects the bottom line of the company. That's my general advice when it comes to career, because if you come and become an auditor, which a lot of accounting students do, you're one of 1,000. You don't really matter. If you leave, they'll replace you within a few days. So which means you don't affect the bottom line of the company. It's very hard for you to negotiate for promotions, pay rises, and so on. Okay. And Derek finally says, is the stock market manipulated from time to time? I think you also know this answer, Derek. The answer is yes. Stock markets in general are manipulated heavily. Who manipulates it? I can't tell you. I also don't know. Okay, but it is manipulated, and normally the emerging markets like Malaysia are a lot more manipulated. So if for any economic students here, you all understand what market efficiency is. So for those of you who don't know, I'll just explain a little bit. Market efficiency basically is when a piece of news, okay, a latest article or a tweet by last time Donald Trump, now Elon Musk, when news comes out, how fast does the market react to it? Okay, so for developed markets like the US, the moment they announce a new announcement, the whole stock market sort of adjusts immediately. Okay, so that's called very efficient market, a very transparent, very efficient market. Whereas emerging markets like Malaysia, like China, okay, are very opaque. You really don't know what's going on there. It's very hard to find information. So if you are in the know, or if you are involved in the industry and you hear a piece of news, it can be a week or 2 weeks before the public hears about it. And in that case, you can take action before then, or you can, group together with a bunch of friends and affect the market. Okay, not to say anybody particularly does this, but it's definitely possible because of the nature of emerging markets. Okay, can we take one more question? I think from Kala, and then let's let as the end. Kala has so many questions. Okay, yeah, stock market is share market, correct. Malaysia is the right time to attract foreign investors. I would say in general, all emerging markets are pretty good for foreign investors, but I find foreign investors are very, very fickle, right? Like slightest news pull out, slightest news come back in. So the market in general is always quite emotional. Can Malaysian stock trust our stock market to do long term? Yes, if you know when to buy, what to buy, how to buy, then yes, can. A lot of investments. So with the stock market, normally you don't expect consistent growth. It's kind of like flat, 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 boom, and then flat, 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 boom. And you have to move your money left and right. So you cannot just stay in the same stock. I mean, some stocks you can stay in, but generally you do have to make sure you know when to move. That is where the involvement of your commitment of time is required. So if you don't like to do that, some good mutual funds can also do that for you. That's why you would use an unit trust. You don't want to do all this switching and buying and selling, then the unit trust can do that for you, assuming you choose the right unit trust. The majority of them, like the majority of stocks, can lose you money. All right, guys, so that's the end for my presentation, and pass it over back to Vicky.
Thank you, Mr. Ian, for the enlightening talk. With that, the first session for our No Money No Talk webinar has come to an end. Hope that you have gained great exposure from this session. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain in this channel while our first speaker is leaving the room.
All right, thanks, guys. All the best. Hope
Thank
some
you,
of you have
Mr.
signed up.
Ian.
Thank you, Mr. Ian.
Thank you, sir.
All right, now I will pass the floor to Chi Yun, the MC for the second session of our webinar. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Vicky. Hi, everyone. I'm Chi Yun, the MC for this session. A reminder to all participants, at the end of the webinar, we will display a QR code for attendance and feedback because our partner, UYM, will send the e-certificates via the email you provide in the form later. So for this session, we are honored to have Miss Ketiga Anak Perempuan Kasinadan with us today to share about things like the importance of side hustle, what is true wealth, and also secrets to uncommon freedom. Let's welcome Miss Ketiga. All right, then just let me share a bit about the profile of Miss Ketiga.
Oh.
Miss Ketiga is currently a fourth-year student at University of Malaya. And also, she's having her internship now at one of the big four accounting firms, KPMG Malaysia. At the same time, she also does side business for Amway. So without further ado, I'll pass the floor to Miss Ketiga.
All right, thank you. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, you can see.
Thank you. Okay, so now guys, grab your calculator. You have 30 seconds to do so. It can be your phone, it can be your scientific calculator, whichever is nearer to you, you can do so. Just a little movement for you after a long session, right? Okay, I hope you guys got your calculator. Now, I want you to calculate this using key in your age times 365 days, subtract 28,835, right? Maybe you can give me a 111 if you have done in the chat box. All right. Okay. Okay, thank you for your response. All right, good morning, guys. I know it's a Saturday morning and then you've already woke up so early and then I'm actually making you do some maths. Okay, don't get mad at me. I'll tell you in a bit what have you calculated and all. Thank you, MC, for the wonderful introduction. Let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I want to share about is reality check, the importance of side hustle, starting young. Okay, so now take some time to put yourself in the slide next and see which one you want to fall in. This is the normal plan we are showed, like until 10 years, we don't really do anything, just play and then we study and then we work and then we get retired. Okay, so this is the normal plan everybody tells us about. But there is an alternative plan where you play, you study, but you create an asset and live your dreams at a young age, retiring young. So you decide for yourself. It's your life, it's your choice. So what do you want to, where would you want to be at? Okay, next. Okay, what have you calculated, right? Already, what is it? It's just your life in numbers. So the average human spends 79 years living. So that's actually 28,835 days. So the number that you calculated is the amount of time you have left if you actually make up until 79 years, right? Okay, so let's take a closer look. We actually spent 33 years sleeping, 13 years at work, 11 years of using phone, watching TV, Netflix, 4 years of eating, 3 years of holiday, 1 year to exercise, 1 year to romance, 1 year of socializing, and 334 days of schooling, 1 year of extras like queuing up, laughing, gathering with your friends and stuff like that, right? So what are we actually left of? 8 years and 2 months. Okay, so to give you a better picture, okay, if you're 20 years, you have 20,440 days left. If you're 30 years, there's 16,790 days left. If you're 40 years, 13,150 days left. 50 years, this might not be you, but this can be your loved ones. Especially the people that you place a very special value in your life that you want to pay back, or, you know, give your sort of gratitude to them, right? Okay, 50 years is 9,490 days left. 60 years, 5,840 days left. So I did this calculation based on the average lifespan of a Malaysian, which is 76. So we can observe around us, not many make up until 70. So I consider if someone makes up until 70, it's actually a bonus, right? And many of the people we know who's 70 years and above, they might not have the energy that they had in their early days, right? So the problem is we always think we have time, right? And to care for those who once cared for us is one of the highest honors. So here, for majority of us in the room, can be our parents that, you know, who nurtured us, who brought us up, and, you know, provided us with everything practically. But for some, it might not be your elders, it might be somebody else who nurtured you, who was in that place. So, but anyhow, what we want to do is care for them, right? But what is our reality? The harsh reality of our fresh graduates is it has been 19 years. 19 years ago, the fried rice cost 1 ringgit 50 cents to 2 ringgit, where the salary was 1,500 to 2,000. But now, the same fried rice is 5 ringgit to 6 ringgit 50 cents, costs you that, but our salary isn't 5,000 to 6,500, right? Okay, so now there's more to it. In our generations, millennials say that we can't even afford to buy a house, but the past generation actually bought each of their children a house while actually managing to renting out to people for investment. And the other part goes down, you can see here, you know, youngsters can go as far as to work 2 to 3 jobs and still won't be enough to live. I'm sure many of you in this room have actually done part-time jobs and all this. So I want you to remember this particular thing, 2 to 3 jobs. Okay, I'm not here to give you awareness. I'm also here to give you the solutions, right? What you can do about it, how you can change your mindset, you know? So this thing, just remember, I'll bring it along the way. Okay, so why is this actually happening to us? Because the value of money has dropped, or the value of money has risen because of inflation, right? Everything, not only your fried rice, everything else has risen. The price of the house on average has risen of 200%. Car has risen more than 100%. Tuition, basic degree, movie tickets, toll, roti chana, living expenses. It can be as big as owning a house. It can be as small as actually meeting your daily expenses like eating, tolls and all. So what happened is that why are we struggling and always being labeled by the old generation that we don't know how to manage our money is because in their time, it was practical for them to do things because of their salary matched their living expenses. But now our salary doesn't match our living expenses, right? Because out of all this increment because of inflation, look at the increment in our salary because of inflation, almost the same, right? But now there's two kinds of people, right? There are people who focus on challenges, who are going to complain and play the blame game, right? They're going to blame the government for not progressing, for no economic development. They're going to blame their employers for not paying them enough. They're going to blame their parents probably for choosing this course, or I don't know. They're going to blame whoever possibly they can because they think life happens to me. But on the other hand, there are people who focus on opportunities. They are people who are on the look for alternatives because they know that this is not their, they don't want to accept what they are given to. They are the person who want to create their life. So they look out for opportunities and take advantage of them. So we all know people who start at the same point of life, you know, with a degree, and how they flourish thereafter. So it's up to you whether you want to, which category you want to be. Maybe you are a person who was focusing on challenges. Maybe you didn't realize that you were always being complaining, but today is the day that you change your mindset to focus on opportunities. It's not hard. It can be done, right? Okay, so now the second part, what is true wealth? And I'll highlight some misconception, right? So is it a lot of having lots of money? Is it owning an expensive car or a house? You know, is it buying the luxury things, your diamond necklace, your Apple devices, your Nike shoes, or your luxury travel items? It's actually this, it's simply the ability to do what you want to do, right? So here, you might not understand this. So to further understand, I'm going to give you two situations where here, I'm not sure how many of you have gone through this, but probably you guys are still studying. But if you're in the working field, you know how it feels, where you want to drag your days. It goes like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? If you understand what I mean, they always complain that the weekends are so short, it's just a blink of an eye. But you can, when you have true wealth, what you can do is the choices, is the ability to do what you want to do. Maybe on a Monday morning, you feel lazy, maybe, so you want to go to the beach, you want to just relax, right? And on a Tuesday morning, you probably want to have breakfast with your parents. You know, you just want to take care of them, or probably they're sick, you just want to be with them. If you have the true wealth, you can do so. But if you have to, if you don't have the true wealth, you probably need to clock in to your boss, or you have to open up your business. I don't know. And the third thing, maybe on a Wednesday, you want to go for a hike with your friends and not get stuck in the traffic jam. Maybe on a Thursday, you just want to go shopping spree. You don't want to look at the price tags. You just want to go shopping because you have true wealth. The Friday, you probably just want to rejuvenate your mind and yourself and just want to be with nature in the waterfalls or whatever you feel like. And maybe on the weekends, you just want to meditate, or I don't know, whatever you feel like, you want to party or whatever, you actually have the energy to do so. So what is actually wealth is actually having enough money and enough time to do what you want and when you want. So it falls back to the choices that you will be able to make without depending on your boss, without depending on your income, because you are having your own wealth, the true wealth, right? So now true wealth is actually an uncommon freedom that most of us want. We want, at the end of the day, we just want to be happy. We just want to, have the choices, want to do what we actually want to do, right? So here, how is definitely through the knowledge. You need the knowledge to actually know which will suit you and where you can take yourself further. So the secret to uncommon freedom is this, the cash flow quadrant. You have to understand this in order to see in order to understand where you can actually tap in the true wealth. Okay, so now I'm going to explain each of it in detail for you guys. And true wealth is actually hidden in this quadrant right here in passive income. So here I want you to take a reflection on yourself. While I go along, you just have to see where are you, which quadrant do you fit in. No matter where what type of income you're earning, you'll fall into one of these quadrants. And this is not invented by me, this is invented by Robert Kiyosaki, a self-made millionaire, yeah, in one of his book Cash Flow Quadrant. So now along the way, evaluate where are you and where do you want to be, right? It's always your choice. It's your life. Okay. So the first one is employment. Employment is actually an endless treadmill. That's what I call it, because you have to keep doing what you do to maintain your lifestyle. You can be someone as a blue collar or a white collar, but it doesn't matter how much you earn. But at the end of the day, you still have to show up to work to get your pay. So 8 hours of work is 8 hours of pay. And it's actually a time for money trap, right? Why do I say so? If you are not very sure, you can't really understand, look at the next slide. Here, this is a very good situation for you to understand that. This boss arrived with a brand new Ferrari, and the worker said that, wow, that's an amazing car. And the boss replied, if you work hard and put all your hours in and strive for excellence, I'll get another one the next year. So here, just take note of you working hard, putting in all your hours and striving for excellence, probably for the promotion, probably for the position. All these are not something that you own, but you are working for somebody else's dream, right? It's nothing wrong. I'm not knocking down jobs, okay? Don't get me wrong. But is that where you really want to be for the next 20, 30 years of your life, right? And does it give true wealth? No, it doesn't, because one is we all know that jobs, I already showed you the harsh reality, and even young professionals are still struggling to, own a house, get their dream car or whatever not. So it's your choice. So that's the time for money trap. Okay, so another common misconception of employment, if you don't have enough income, do part-time lah. Especially is very common among students. So I just wanted to highlight this. Probably maybe you're working 8 hours, you want to have more 4 hours. So I told you it's an endless treadmill. So this is how a person who is managing few jobs will look like, right? So you remember I asked you to remember a point from the news I showed you, where this millennial was working 2 to 3 jobs and still not enough to live. Why? Because they're doing the same thing, and expecting different result. That can't be the scenario. We all know, when you do the same thing, you can't expect miracles to happen. So if you are getting yourself in another job, you're going to get the results of another job. So it's not going to be anything different. You're probably going to restrict your time and not do what you love and just want to get more income, right? So, and the worst part here is that 0 hours of work will equal to 0 hours of pay. So at one point, you will want to stop working, right? Once your treadmill stops, your income stops. That's why when you observe, if you didn't observe until today, you can always after this go and observe. We all know people who are in their retirement age who actually don't have the energy but still doing something, either on a freelance basis or actually in the still working field, because they know if they stop working, 0 hours of work is going to equal to 0 hours of pay, right? So is this really what you want? Because they start zero, they didn't earn anything, and then they started with a fresh grad salary. They're going to spend 20, 30 years of your life building your career. But then even if you're a CEO of the company, once you retire, your salary is going to fall back to zero, right? So is that really what you want? So that's employment. Okay. Next is self-employment. Self-employment is you own a job. Okay. You own a job. You are your own boss, which means you do everything. Solo performance. You do the marketing, you do the logistics, you do the packaging, whatever it takes, right? So we all know at least one friend, one or two friends who started their own business during this MCO period, right? It can be baking. I just took baking as an example. It can be any other things, you know. They are very skillful. They can be very famous within their city, within their town, right? But what happens, let's take example of this baking business. What happens if they fall sick? What happens if they something happens to their, well, just one of their finger? I'm just talking about the possibilities. I'm not trying to be negative. And what happens if they just want to celebrate? You know, they want to take a time off. What happens is that they are still in the time for money trap, meaning that if they stop their time, 0 hours, they don't do anything, their money is going to fall back to zero. So you don't want to build something over a progressive time, put in all your work, effort, hard work, and then you want to fall back to zero. I don't think so anybody will want that. So why is it happening? It's actually because people are leveraging on active income. So active income is where you work hard for money, and once you stop working hard, your money stops. So is there a way? So there is a way. So like I said, it was said by Robert Kiyosaki. He's a self-made millionaire through investing, through other stuff. You can go and read up about him always. So what he said, you can start somewhere here. There's nothing wrong with employment and self-employment. But if you are a person who's wanting true wealth, to have enough money and enough time to do actually what you want to do, then this might not give you true wealth, because 95% of population is looking into this, but only 5% of wealth is here. So what you have to do, eventually move yourself here, where 95% of wealth is here and only 5% of population is taking it seriously, right? Okay, so first one is business owner. So business owner is that they own a system. So they own a proven system, and it's easy to copy by an average person, by any average person. Okay, so here I have a few examples to give you of big business owners. Okay, they like Grab, they own a system. Grab, he does not have to be physically there monitoring the driver, whether he's driving carefully. No, they don't have to do such things. He's probably chilling. He's probably doing whatever he wants at the comfort of his home, but he knows that his system that he created is running. Okay, and Airbnb, he doesn't have to own so many properties, and he don't have to physically be there with the owner, seeing that, you know, supervising whether the owner is taking care of the rentee or whatever it may. And we all know Facebook is Mark Zuckerberg, he owns it. What is it? It's just a platform to connect people, to connect the world. So now he doesn't have to be there. He just needs the platform. It is a proven system. Many times we have heard Facebook is going to be deleted, but it's impossible to do so because the network is so huge, right? So we all are not as smart, or we are not as blessed to get the instincts to, you know, own Grab, Airbnb, Facebook. We don't know, right? But what we all have access to is the franchise business. So if you become a Starbucks owner, if you become a McDonald's owner, you can tap into potential true wealth. Why? Because we know McDonald's is a proven system. Why is it a system? You can go to a McDonald's in KL, you can go to a McDonald's in Penang, you can go to a McDonald's in Johor, anywhere in Malaysia or even globally. You know how it works. The menu in Malaysia, throughout Malaysia, the menu is same, right? You know how they take orders. Everything is the same. The way even the side the fries are, even the way the side the water is going to be dispensed, your drink, all this is the same, right? So that's why it's a proven system. So any average person can do it, can be a franchise owner. But the downside to it is the cost. If to own a McDonald's or Starbucks or any possible franchise, you at least need 2 million investment at the current situation. So if you have 2 million, I don't know why are you actually here. So right, if you have 2 million, then you probably already know where are you at, and you can make your money grow well. So now here, this is the downside. The last thing is investment in the quadrant. So investment, compounding, the previous speaker also touched of this. And Albert Einstein, what did he say? He said compounding is actually the 8th wonder of the world. So for a 10% annual interest rate, which is not very doable, but let's assume that's annual interest rate because of the current situation. If it's 10% and you invest 10,000 per month, you put in 10,000, it takes 7 years to double your investment. So let's see simple interest and compounding interest. After 7 years, it's going to double. After 14 years, doubles. And look at after 50 years. So one is where linear growth is 80,000, but you go into compounding, you tap into exponential. It's simple as 5 plus 5 is 10. That's linear growth. Exponential is you add power, 5 squared. 5 squared is 25. So can you see 5 plus 5 is 10. 5 squared is 25. So that's basically what's happening here. Compounding interest, you can actually be a millionaire, but with the same time, with the same amount of investment. But okay, the two major challenges for most of us as a student is that most of us must have the extra money, but most of us have too much month left at the end of our money. Read it again. Most of us have too much month at the end of our money. So it's very hard to make ends meet for us. So what about extra money? Second is the growth that just takes too long. It takes 50 years. So you actually have to hope that you are going to live long enough to enjoy. So here you see that probably now in your 20s, you're going to invest for the next 50 years, which probably is that's with 10% interest rate, right? 10%. The previous speaker, he said 8% is already a big thing for you. So let's assume if it's 10%, you're going to be, but at the age of 70, do you think you really can enjoy, or you're just going to pass down to your next generation? I don't know. Do you really think you're going to have the energy to go skydiving, underwater world or stuff like that? I don't know. It's up to you to decide. Okay, so now a summary of this is, here, this two is going to give you active income. You work hard for money. Here is going to be passive income. Money will work hard for you, right? So you own a system here, and you own investments. So you're just going to put in, you're going to leverage your time and your money, and that's it. You're going to have the system do the work for you. So that's what's the actual difference of active and passive income. No matter what you can do, whatever you do, it's your choice, but make sure you have to have your passive income. Only when you tap into your passive income, you can actually get your true wealth, meaning that you will want the ability to do what you actually want to do. So in active income, you trade time for money. Here, you leverage your time. Okay, leverage is a big word, please Google up. And money grows linearly here. Here, money grows exponentially. Income stops if you're disabled. Income continues indefinitely. You're not creating true wealth. Here, you're creating wealth. Time is not your own in active income because you have to keep doing what you do to maintain your lifestyle. Even if you're a doctor, even if you're a medical surgeon, you still need to do what you do to keep on living your lifestyle. Here, you have total time freedom. Here, you're just getting by, you're getting ahead. When work stops, income keeps coming in. Okay, so now I showed you two different scenarios of owning a business as well as investment. Business owner, system, and investment. So now both of it has its downside, of course. Many of us as students, we don't have the money, but we all have time, right? Nobody has the maybe equal amount of money, but everybody has an equal amount of time. Nobody has lesser amount of time. Everybody is given 24 hours. So how can you change your time into money? So that's what I call the people's franchise. Anybody can own a franchise, a marriage made in heaven, where we are going to combine the franchise concept or the system and with the exponential growth of investment. So we're just taking the good out of it. So what is it? The franchise system is because, why is it practical for us students? Is because it's low cost and it won't take years. It will not take decades or 50 years. It will take years. So you decide. So what is the difference? The startup here is 2 million to own a franchise, but here is less than 100. Here you hire and fire employees. Here there's no employees. Overhead grows as your business grows. And this is a home-based online business, so there's practically no overheads. Store hours, you set your own hours. Restricted territory, national, global territory. You are building someone else's dream, because if McDonald's was your dream, you are probably McDonald's owner. But that's why you just want to leverage and you want to get your wealth. But now you are having a chance to build your own dream, right? So unfortunately, I don't have the time to go on what is this people's franchise. So there is an opportunity sharing happening tomorrow at 5 p.m. So it's led by young professionals. Whether this works or not, you find out. It's been working for thousands of young professionals. It can be you also. So nothing is more expensive than a missed opportunity. If you want to get your link for the opportunity sharing, please contact me at 012-703-9484, right? So thank you. You've been a great audience, and connect with me for a free financial sheet. Yes, I understand that many of us are struggling with our finances, and we probably don't know where is our money going. It's just the start of the month, but then it's so fast, it's already the end of the month, and we don't know. In the middle, we're just struggling. So one thing that has helped me to manage my finance better is this financial sheet, which I feel should be given to every other student or every other adult who's trying to manage their finance. So what you have to do is you can either contact me, or if you want me to contact you, just drop your name, your phone number, or your email address in the chat box. I'll probably get back to you with this financial sheet for you. You've been a wonderful audience, and I pass it back to the MC.
All right, thank you, Ms. Ketiga, for the insightful sharing session. Now we'll open the floor for Q&A session. Every participant may direct your question to Ms. Ketiga by unmuting yourself in this meeting, or you may leave your question in the chat box. So is there any question?
All right, there's one question. What are the issue or problem that you can found in your internship place during this MCO, and the issue is challenging for you? All right. As a KPMG intern, I think the culture is very friendly. Your seniors are very fine with teaching you because the job experience and what your textbook knowledge is very different. And if you have good seniors to guide you, it's always the challenge here is to learn how receptive you are, how open and open to knowledge you are. So the challenge is just you being open. So if you just have to speak up and ask when you really don't know. You can't be waiting for your senior to come and ask you, are you okay? Just ask. People are not as scary as they may seem, right?
Any more questions from the floor? Before that, I would like to ask one question.
All right.
Ms. Ketiga, I want to ask, since we know that you are a university student and you're also having internship and also side business for Amway, so may I know how you manage all the things at the same time? Maybe you
How
can
I
share a
manage
little
my time.
tips. Yeah.
Okay, so how I manage my time is it's very simple actually. How much you want it, right? Do you really want to be in a situation that everybody else wants to be, or do you want to make something? You want to create your life? Because many times when I hear no time, or even I hear from myself, I just remind myself, if you say no time, you don't want it. So it's actually as simple as that, but it goes down to your daily habits. So make sure you have a to-do list and you stick to it. Try to stick to it, but don't overburn yourself. And for me, it really differs from people to people. Like, I don't really have a timetable, but I do good with a to-do list. So and then I keep track of my activities probably every 2 hours. I check in, is this really productive, and then I go about changing my daily routine for better, like what I can do better. So it's just you competing with yourself on making your time management better, because we all know where are we spending too much time and where we should actually concentrate, right? It's not rocket science for you to do that. So it's just up to us on how much we want it.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Ketiga.
Yep.
So any question more from the floor? Let's wait for 1 more minute. If
Okay.
there's, all right, that's one.
For example, a student from science background struggling to get a job, especially during COVID-19 pandemic, can this person choose any job that is not related to be financially stable? Job, okay, financially stable, probably yes. You can choose any job that you if you want to really start somewhere, but it's really up to you lah, because you're a science background. So if you want to shift your career, it's always okay to shift, but is that where you want to build your career? Because once you start there, you want to be sure that you want to progress in it for the next few years. And is it really that you want to be financially stable, or you want to be financially free? If you want to be financially stable, then job, yes, the endless treadmill, that it can be your option. But if you want to be financially free, you have to do things that people who are financially free doing, not those who are, struggling to make ends meet, right?
Thank you, Miss Ketika, for the question,
Right.
for the answer, sorry. So any more questions from the floor?
I have only one question. What do you find good as an intern at KPMG? I think it's the culture there. The seniors are very much willing to teach you and guide you through your internship. They understand that they also started as an intern, or probably they started just like us. So they don't have the probably the senior kind of mentality. And yeah, so that's what I like about KPMG. Our accounting system and accounting policies keep changing every time, so you can adapt that in your audit firm. Yes, it changes. Accounting is a field where you need lifetime education, meaning that you have to keep on update. No matter if you're an audit intern or you're a tax intern, the regulation changes every other year. So you probably need to just keep yourself updated. And usually this updates, how do I say, in the job scenario, it's actually the higher levels who are managing this. But then what as a probably as a junior associate, what you can do is that you can observe how they actually change, how they adapt to it. So it's basically just updating themselves from here, now and then, like subscribing to certain news and all that. So it will help you to be updated in your field. I want to ask about what you have learned as an accountant. First of all, I'm not an accountant yet. I'm just an intern. For you to be an accountant, you need a basic degree and you need to have 3 years working experience at least in the related field, and you need to be registered with Malaysian Institute of Accountants. Only then you can call yourself as an accountant, right? But what have I learned is as a working adult, I learned that many things is very working life is very different from your textbook knowledge. So you just have to relearn stuff, but the definitely your academic plays the role. So I'm not trying to say that your academic is not important at all. It's important for you to know the basics, but then in reality is very, very different. For example, when you go to audit, like you need to vouch documents. That's the fundamental. You need to get audit evidence. So for stuff like that, you need to, nobody in your accounting degree shows you how an invoice look, or what is the purpose of this and all these documents. So you have to figure out your way in your working life lah. So that's what you actually learn in as not an accountant, as an intern, right? Okay, so
All right, I think due to the time constraint, here comes to the end of our Q&A session.
can I answer that sharing?
Oh,
Yeah,
right. Okay.
tomorrow's sharing session will be less than an hour. So you can WhatsApp me at this number or any other platforms to get your Zoom link. All right, thank you, MC.
Okay, thank you very much. With that, the second session for our No Money No Talk webinar has come to an end. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain in this channel while our speaker is leaving the room. All right, now I will pass the floor for the members from Universal Youth Movement UYM to promote their club. Let's welcome Miss Abi, UYM Malaysia Country Ambassador, and Miss Sabrina, UYM Malaysia Assistant Country Ambassador. The floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Abirami. I'm the country ambassador for Universal Youth Movement Malaysia, and I have Sabrina. Sabrina, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Sabrina, and I'm the Assistant Country Ambassador for UIM Malaysia.
So before we explain to you what and who we are, can I have the media team to play the video? Okay, so what you just watched was an introductory video regarding our main HQ team members and our founder, all right? So that was UIM overall, which includes not only Malaysia but also other countries. And for UIM Malaysia, we have campus directors, we have members as well. I believe there are also a few members here, apart from me and Sabrina. But moving on to explaining who we are. Okay, so basically, Universal Youth Movement is a universal platform that establishes youth into the work of making a better world. Through UIM, youths are able to express their ideas and take actions on global issues. So we believe that by empowering youths and leading them to achieve sustainable goals, we can make this world more livable and more peaceful, of course. So UIM have conducted a lot of events before this, UIM Malaysia in to be specific. But regarding like to make it a whole one, we have conducted World Goals Model United Nation, entrepreneurship workshops, free mask, supplying masks to people who need them, and also online startup workshops. So basically, our aim is to bring 100,000 youth under one umbrella to create social awareness. So we do a lot of things. Okay, we empower women, we follow SDGs, we conduct awareness activities, we build networks, support entrepreneurship, and of course, after all of this, we do submit our resolutions to United Nations. We are actually one of their partners. So if you wish to be part of this, you can visit our website, universalyouthmovement.org, or you can also check out our social media, our Instagram and our Facebook, to know more about us. And you can sign up with us if you wish to do so. With that, I will not take much of your time. I hope to see you soon. Thank you.
All right, thank you, UYM. And that's the end for our webinar on financial literacy, No Money, No Talk. Thank you all for your participation. I hope you all have gained great exposure from this webinar. So before you leave, kindly scan the QR code and fill up the Google form for your attendance and feedback, because our partner UYM will provide all of you with a certificate via the email you provide in the form. So you may leave once you have filled out the form. Be smarter with your finances. Thank you.
It's been 24 hours, I need more hours with you. You spent the weekend getting even. Ooh. We spent the late nights making things right between us. And now it's all good, babe. Roll that backward, babe, and let me close. Cause girls like you run around with guys like me till sundown. When I come through, I need a girl like you, yeah, yeah. Girls like you love fun and yeah, me do what I want. When I come through, I need a girl like you, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I need a girl like you, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I need a girl like you. I spent last night on the last flight to you. We took a whole day up, trying to get way up. Ooh. We spent the daylight trying to make things right between us. And now it's all good, baby. Roll that backward, baby, and let me flow. These girls like you run around with guys like me till sundown. When I come through, I need a girl like you, yeah, yeah. Girls like you love fun and yeah, me do what I want. When I come through,
Thank you,
I need a
everyone.
girl like you, yeah, yeah.